It's because Jay Williams has made his way in. Look at Jay Will. Good to be here. Good to be here.
I'm just here for work. I'm here. This is my job. This is what I get paid.
You know, the little repartee between the two of you is
I'm okay, Greenie. I'm happy. I'm in a great space.
I love it.
Until we start talking.
With that, we welcome you back to Get Up, coming to you live as always from the Seaport District of Pier 17. We're brought to you by Chase, and here we go. We're getting up with Kawhi because he has the Greek Freak flat shook. Is it enough to even up the East? We got highlights and analysis coming up in 1 minute. Then KD's agent speaks about the future. I, for one, believe every word he says, warning the fans of the Knicks, you're not going to like what you hear. Jay Will has the insight. And John Moran will be here in our studio. Jay Will's going to break down his game, his future, and his spectacular slams. All that and more as we get this thing rolling. Time to get up right now with our game of the night. And it's Giannis and the Bucks taking on the Raptors in Game 4. Bucks this year, NBA best 22-1 following a loss. So you figure they should be in control. And early on, Giannis, RJ, was.
Yes, when you look at this and his attack and the way he goes downhill against the Raptors, it is one of the best. It's James Harden-esque.
He does it again here. This time, Pascal Siakam, no match for him. 11 points for Giannis in the first quarter. He'd finish with 25 and 10. I mention that now because we won't see him again. Most of the rest of the night belong to the Raptors. And watch them working inside. They got an 8-point lead here. They're going to swing it around. Powell for 3. That's no good. Danny Green, an offensive opportunity on the putback. That's no good. Serge Ibaka. Oh, that's good. That's very, very good. Look how hard they're working inside. Ibaka, I want you to watch his reaction. That's good. Now watch his coach's reaction. Come on. He's like, what? This is what we're working with? The Raptors up 10. 2 minutes left in the half. Raptors by 6. This time Powell drills the 3. 60 of their 65 first half points came from players other than Kawhi Leonard. Then third quarter, he gets himself into the act. Look at that lefty jam.
Look at that. Come on now. When you're dunking on the MVP, the limping is something that you got to be a little worried about, though.
Watch it here as you'll see him limping clearly away after the play. He's giving you everything he's got. Raptors now have an 8-point lead, and Marcus Sol is such a good passer from that position on the floor.
Yeah, and that's why they brought him in. And it's just his defense, his passing. That's an easy bucket. That's a bucket that Kawhi didn't have to work so hard for.
Fourth quarter here, Gasol, by the way, had 7 assists in the game. Watch Fred VanVleet make this shot. That's nice. And then watch Drake. Are you allowed to do this? I'm assuming only Drake can do that.
He's the 2019 Spike Lee of the NBA. That's where he is right now.
Basically, he's there for that. And then Kyle Lowry had himself a night at home. 25 points for Lowry, 19 for Kawhi. Raptors win by 18. They're all even, 2 games apiece in the Eastern Conference Finals. Giannis remaining confident in the Bucks, and so is BPI. Our model still gives them a 69% chance to win the series with the Bucks in 7 as the most likely outcome. So let me bring Jay Will into the conversation here. We get a chance to get your perspective on this first and foremost. I'll give you the floor. What jumped out at you most last night as the Raptors have evened it up?
2 things. Number 1, for the Raptors, their bench has only been averaging 26 points per game in the series. Their bench, 3 players last night, Ibaka, VanVleet, Norman Powell, had 48 points, right? That's a huge help to Kawhi, obviously considering that he's humbling. He's hobbling around. Then also Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry woke up. Kyle Lowry had 25. This is the Kyle Lowry that we saw throughout the regular season a little bit. The guy that actually had his rhythm offensively. When they actually come to the table being the complete team, this team is different even with Kawhi being hurt.
No, they're so different. And that was why I picked Milwaukee, because when I looked at if Giannis has a bad game, who does he have around him that's going to be able to step up? We've seen Brook Lopez do it. We've seen Middleton do it. We've seen George Hill, Eric Bledsoe. But then on the other side, Toronto, I was like, their bench, they're good, but I just didn't see them stepping up the way they did, and that's why the series is tied 2-2.
I got something I've been wanting to ask you all morning, RJ, because you don't get aggressive really quickly.
That's not aggressive.
This kid got 4 years, $70 million. Eric Bledsoe. I wonder where Eric Bledsoe is in this entire series. I wonder where he is since the Detroit Pistons series. He's been shooting 24% from the field, 11% from the three-point line, 68% from the free throw line. Now, I know you have Malcolm Brogdon, who didn't play great last night. I know that in certain players that came in and played well, but you signed him to this max deal, to this big deal. You need him to be a significant player in this series.
I agree. You need him. But where are you right now? You are in the conference finals. You have home court advantage. You were up 2-0, right? So my thing is Eric Bledsoe, especially when you're doing it by committee. Malcolm Brogdon's back. George Hill. They have some very good guards. And yes, you need him to play better. You need him to step up. But Eric Bledsoe has put you in a position along the other team to be in this spot.
He's been abysmal.
You need him to win a championship. But Kyle Lowry has been that throughout the playoffs this year, up and down. So where he is right now is in a very good spot.
Maybe who gets the better performance from the supporting cast?
That's really what it is.
What is at this point a best out of 3. Now, the next topic I want to get to here I think is really important because opinion is still coming in from all corners of the sports world about Magic Johnson's somewhat stunning appearance on First Take here on Monday. I want you to hear among those who weighed in yesterday was Charles Barkley, who was on PTI. He had this perspective.
Magic Johnson, you know, he burned down the whole house yesterday. He didn't leave any room not burned to smithereens. I was totally shocked that he did that because, you know, Magic is probably the most popular Laker of all time. And I think it's going to be very interesting when he goes back in that building and he's got to see Rob Pelinka. He's got to see Jeannie Buss. I think the Lakers are a train wreck. But you know, Mike, one thing about the United States, we love a good train wreck. And we're going to be watching all the time.
So I don't know if that was quite critical of Magic. It was certainly leaning toward it. Sam Amick for The Athletic went in on Magic. This is our required reading this morning. You know what you don't do, meaning about Magic, especially if you still love the Lakers organization as you so often claim and want them to succeed in this monumental summer? You don't pull back that purple and gold curtain for all the world to see and make a spectacle out of Lakerland twice. And you certainly don't do it in this kind of cold, calculated fashion, with Johnson airing his many grievances on ESPN's First Take just hours before the Lakers were set to introduce their new coach Frank Vogel to the world in a news conference. This stunt was selfish in the kind of way that few people on this planet can even fathom. That is very strongly worded. Jay Will,
can I unpack here?
You
Go ahead.
Unpack at all.
So Magic has always had impunity, right? He's never really had to accept the repercussions of his actions. I mean, this goes all the way back to 1981 when they wanted to get rid of Westhead, the coach, right? The coach back then. And he had a conversation with Jerry Buss and then said, okay, like, I'll give you some time. Next day, got frustrated, literally obliterated Westhead in the media, okay? So my thing is Magic only helped Magic with these comments. He didn't help the Lakers. He didn't help Jeannie Buss, who he blindsided twice. He didn't help Rob Pelinka. Now, look, I understand that people say, well, he should have, maybe just not said anything. But my thing is, like, Rob Pelinka should be fighting. Shouldn't that be something that should be red flagged? If you're running an organization, regardless of whatever conversation you had with Jeannie Buss, if you're going to run other businesses, whereas, and I saw you say it this morning, RJ, and I could not agree with you more. We know people that are grinding in this territory for years, decades to become president. So regardless of Magic wants to fly in or fly out and do this stuff, like Rob Pelinka had every right to say, he's not in office. He's not in the trenches with us. He's not grinding with us. He should have been BCC copied on everything. Rob Pelinka had the right to do that because Magic wasn't in the trenches. And then for him to be calculated to go on First Take and blow everything up and then expect to say, oh, I can go back in the building. I'm still going to support the Lakers. I'm still going to support Rob Pelinka. He doesn't support the Lakers or Rob Pelinka if he came out and he said all that. Now, I understand it would have been damaging towards his credibility as far as being a president, but you can't be a half-assed president. If you're going to be a president, you have to be a full president. You have to be there all the time. I'm telling you how it is.
And look, I don't like you, but I agree with you. And so this is the thing. When I look at the way that the Lakers have been run, I've always said Magic needs to go and Rob needs to go, and there needs to be a singular voice. I would have been okay if it would have been Magic and Rob, and they would have brought in a David Griffin, a Trajan Langdon, someone that has the basketball mindset to do this in a grind way. But you're right, and everyone is right. Magic Johnson blew up the Lakers. He didn't kill their chances of getting a free agent because they're still the Lakers and they still have LeBron James and a ton of assets, but he didn't make it any easier. You can't say that you love someone and love an organization and then not even stab him in the back, stab him in the front and on national television.
I would disagree with you. I think he did blow up the Lakers' chances to land a big-time free agent. I really think he did. I think he put everything on Front Street.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a free agent, if you're one of the Ks, even if you're Kimba, I think you're going to look at this whole situation like, do I really believe in management right now? Understanding Jeannie Buss and all the stuff that's came out about Jeannie Buss from Magic.
Yes, and the issue here for all the free agents is you're going to go in there and you're not going to talk about basketball. When you have to walk into a meeting with the Lakers and you're like, well, one, who you're meeting with, and it's like Rob Pelinka is going to be in this meeting and an agent and a player can be like, well, the greatest basketball player of a generation said you're a snake, right? And now you're having to answer questions about what's going on in the front office, who's running, who's making the decisions, what's going on. That's the biggest issue with those guys.
I'll say one last thing. Don't think that Kobe doesn't have anything to do with this, right? Because Kobe and Rob are extremely tight. And they work differently. Kobe works differently now. I'm not saying Kobe would have been the president. But if Rob is consulting with Kobe and you're talking about buying teams, don't think that didn't work.
Look, we just talked about Game of Thrones, and while I don't watch the show, I'm aware of what it's about. And so you've got all these different dueling factions and who rises to the top. The one thing I will say is this for certain: the two people who should have been in those meetings with all these free agents would have been LeBron James and Magic Johnson.
Agreed.
That's who these guys want to hear from. And anything the Lakers needed to do to keep Magic happy is what I would have done. In my opinion, that